guys, welcome back to my channel. Recently, I woke up very, very early to leave on a very wet and foggy Sunday morning and drive an hour inland to meet at a parking lot where I saw a ground squirrel, get on a bus, and arrive at the Vasco Caves Regional Preserve. This is an area that is, for the most part, closed off to the public. We had to get through about 3 different locked gates to arrive at the parking lot, and access is only granted to a small number of guided tours a season. Now, the name Vasco Caves Regional Preserve is a bit of a misnomer. There were only a few actual caves. Mostly there were just some really weird and cool-looking sandstone formations that had been worn away through wind and various elements into these strange-looking caverns and shapes. One of our fellow hikers was a retired geology professor, and she told us about how this whole area of California used to be underwater. It used to be part of the seabed. And she told us about these weird-looking pearl things that were sticking out of the rocks, that were these calcified remains of fossilized organic material, either sea animals or plant material that had died, and as they decomposed had changed the soil composition into a harder calcium that over thousands and millions of years slowly became visible as the more malleable sandstone wore away. Now, we saw a lot of things at the Vasco Caves Regional Preserve, some of which I didn't manage to get footage of, like the great horned owl that was too far away to be caught on my camera, but we did see things like frogs and tadpoles, and in the distance we could see dozens of wind turbines, some huge and spinning, others shorter and still. I'll get back to those. Now, I'm not a person who, in the past, has spent a lot of time outside, since my general favorite pastimes being of a rather indoor and sedentary nature, mostly reading and, being on the internet. And if you'd asked me a few years ago if I wanted to wake up early to go hike in the cold and wet, I would have probably laughed in your face. But there is something to be said for the feeling of standing on top of a rock formation and being able to see for miles, to look at holes in the sandstone where Native American tribes would grind herbs or pigments and see naturally forming pools with tree frog tadpoles and juvenile tiger salamanders not yet ready to leave the pond. There was also some little bits of Native American rock art that had been left there for maybe hundreds of years, if not thousands, and this is part of the reason that the area is cut off from the public, is because if you allow the public into areas where people have drawn on walls, they tend to draw their own things on walls, and the Native American art would very quickly be gone. Throughout our time at the Vasco Caves, they kept talking about balance, how they had to bring in sheep to graze the hills because sheep will eat the soft invasive grasses, leaving the tougher native grasses behind. Those wind turbines I was talking about earlier, they'd been put in as a source of clean, renewable energy, a way to save the planet. Then people realized that birds of prey, golden eagles, red-tailed hawks, and others, generally fly about 50 feet above ground, staring intently at the ground to hunt, and were flying directly into the blades of the wind turbines and either dying instantly or dying later due to injuries sustained. The solution to this problem? Well, we made the wind turbines bigger. 400 feet, in fact, taller than the world's biggest redwood tree, and the blades are now well above the 50 feet danger zone, and the larger size means that we need fewer of them as well. Even the ownership of the area is a balancing act, as it's jointly owned by the regional park system and the local water district. By the time we headed back home, we'd been out in the cold and wet for hours, and I wanted nothing more than to just go home, take a hot shower, and sleep. But even though I was so exhausted that I ended up falling asleep at 8:30 that night, I don't regret my time spent in the Vasco Caves. But I hope you enjoyed this look into an area of wildlife preservation that doesn't get to see the light of day very much, and I will see you guys very soon with another video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.